Good morning. I'm delighted to be here to chat to you about the importance of brand in the age of AI. And I was interested by the panel this morning saying that AI means no slides. Well, I've got 60 of them, so I did not get that memo. So you'll bear with me as I go through them all. So as I said there, my name's Sam Weston. I'm the head of AI and marketing at 80 Days. And for those of you that don't know 80 Days, we're a full-service creative and digital marketing agency that specializes in hospitality and travel. We work with around 500 hotels worldwide, including many here in the Middle East, and we're delighted to be supporting the event here today. Now, over the next couple of days, we'll be chatting around the 3 pillars of AI discovery. So first of all, this morning about brand, and then later my far more tanned colleague, Rich, will be taking us through the new era of hotel marketing, from SEO to GEO, to generative engine optimization, the organic perspective. And then tomorrow, we'll be looking at paid, whether you should pay to be displayed in advertising within AI as it kind of comes on to fruition. Now, I'd like to begin by just asking a quick question. Does anybody here understand or know what this is? I'm not hearing too many answers. Numbers, yeah, it's a good shout. I'm quite glad you don't know, because I'd be worried if you did. This is essentially your brand, or at least how AI sees it. And in fact, this is some text around the Conrad here today. So it's data, not design. It's tokens at the end of the day, a series of numbers. It's very small fragments of meaning. It's really how AI begins to see your brand, because your brand story doesn't begin with a beautiful marble lobby or a Michelin star restaurant or the experience of enjoying your hotel at sunset. It begins with this data, these tokens, these tiny fragments of meaning. It's reduced down to that. But of course, as humans, we see textures, we see patterns, we see views, we see all of the lovely aspects of your hotel in reality. And it's really about how we bridge that gap between the two that's becoming increasingly important for your brand. Because in the age of AI and the age of algorithms, it's absolutely this point around brand clarity that earns inclusion, that will help you appear within the AI results. But, is this just hype? Is this just another bubble? We talked earlier around the kind of Web 2.0 and now this new technology revolution. Well, actually, it's being borne out in reality. It's not just hypothetical now. 78% of travelers are open to AI trip suggestions as of this year. And that's very different for different locations. We saw in Olivier's presentation just there, India, huge market, for Dubai and for the Middle East. Actually, in China and India, nearly all travelers will consider using AI to help with their trip planning. So it's very much something to be aware of if you want to attract more travelers from those markets. But why is AI starting to become more and more important in terms of for travel planning? Well, this is fresh data from last week from Google shared with us that says that it's all centered around ease of use. So 47% say AI is intuitive, it's easy to use, it's easy to navigate. And actually, if you compare that to Google and to the booking sites, the online travel agents like OTAs, it's more, it's higher. So in just 2 short years since the introduction of generative AI in earnest from ChatGPT, 3 short years, it's now seen as the most intuitive, the most easy to use platform out there, beating Google, which is obviously a search behemoth. And it's around accuracy as well. 48% say that the booking sites, the online travel agents, provide the most accurate information. So they're still winning that battle, but AI is close behind at 43%, again ahead of Google and seen as a more accurate source of information in travel planning. And then there's the trust point as well, which is really important to AI. It's seen as an objective source of information. 33% say that it has content with no hidden agenda. It's not lots of sales messaging or marketing messaging yet. And 42% say that it gives me both sides of the story. It's objective. It's not just one-sided. What's interesting is if you look at the numbers beneath as well for Google and the online travel agents, it's almost double those kind of figures. So it's really seen as this objective, trusted source of information. And what's going to be especially interesting is what happens when that becomes paid for? What happens when paid advertising comes into the mix? Definitely something to debate with Rich tomorrow on the round table. And just to put the scale of growth into the limelight as well, it took Google 11 years to hit 1 billion searches per day, quite a milestone, and quite some time ago now. It's taken ChatGPT just 2 years to do that. And that's as of 2024, December 2024. Fast forward to July of this year, it's almost more than doubled. It's 2.5 billion searches per day. And that momentum just doesn't really show any signs of stopping. But ChatGPT and OpenAI is one platform, one generative tool. Actually, there's many out there, and OpenAI is actually losing market share. If you see on this slide here, the red at the top there, that's Gemini, so Google starting to make some ground. And platforms like DeepSeek and Grok from Elon Musk are also starting to kind of grow their usage as well. So what really we're seeing here is it's a very fragmented space, and actually it's still kind of open for debate as to who the major players will be at the end of all of this. But you have to have your brand represented on all of them for just now. So if all of this continues, then is very much, Gartner's prediction that by 2028, 50% of search traffic will bypass traditional search altogether may well come to fruition. So to put that another way, in just under 2 years' time, half of your guests might be discovering your hotel in a completely different way. So that leads us to one point. If your hotel's not AI ready, then you risk becoming invisible. And visibility is not good, right, for hotel marketing. So it's really about what we talked about earlier, like moving beyond keywords to discussions, to conversations, to questions, and optimizing your content for these kind of series of back and forth questions that travelers are having now with these large language models. And if we see two examples, obviously traditional search, which we've seen for the last 20 years, and a large language model like ChatGPT up here, we see the principal differences between the two. Very much a sea of blue links for traditional search. It's hard for hoteliers to stand out, especially for these non-branded terms like luxury hotels, Dubai. Often, no hotels appear within the top 10 for that. It's all the online travel agents. And the guest perception is really non-committal at this stage. They're just checking out a few hotels, and it's hard for them to decide. With AI, it's a much more curated list and a much more sort of selected list, rich in details, and at the moment, there's not any OTAs in the mix yet as well. So the perception is, you would assume, more committed. People are more likely to make a booking off the back of having 5 hotels presented to them. So this is the shift that's happening. It's from search to selection. It's from curated to a few. Sorry, it's from many to a curated few. And really a point to make is that heritage doesn't guarantee visibility. So you could have had a brand that you built equity in for the last 100 years. If you're not doing the right things when it comes to AI, then you risk becoming invisible. So, excuse me. So how does AI see hotel brands? As you can see here from the generated image on the right, it doesn't even know how to spell hotel, so it's not a great start. But it's going back to these tokens, this data point. So if we look at ChatGPT and this kind of search for a Valentine's break in Dubai, if you get an instant response from ChatGPT, it's based on training data, billions and billions of pre-learned knowledge from text, from imagery. Everything that's kind of publicly available on your brand could feature in that training data. And it's dated data as well. It's up to June of last year for the latest model of ChatGPT. If you get the little searching the web thing pop up when you search, that's using real-time data retrieval, or a RAG model. And that's live search of the web, very much like we would do, but on a much larger scale. It's capable of obviously doing many searches concurrently. And that's data that obviously can be a lot more recent as well. So if your hotel is part of that kind of training data, then really what AI is trying to do is build association between your hotel and some of the words that are used to describe that hotel within the data. So for example, with here, Rotana Rose Rahan in Dubai, you can see some of the words that are being used to describe the property. AI takes all those words, it strips them down and puts them into tokens, and then it tries to map them in this multi-dimensional space to try and draw associations between your brand and the categories and the words that are there, building statistical probabilities of how often your brand is mentioned alongside these words. It's very specific. So knowing all that, how can we influence AI? Well, really, it comes down to GEO, or Generative Engine Optimization, another acronym, because we don't have enough in hospitality already. And it's about the process of optimizing your website and your brand to ensure it's accurately understood, used, and prioritized by AI-driven search and some of these large language models like ChatGPT. An important distinction really is it's SEO is about getting you ranked. It's about trying to be one of those links in a sea of blue links, whereas GEO is about trying to get you into that curated shortlist. All so that when someone asks this search here, AI is able to match you with these kind of associated words, these entities, to try and surface your brand above others. Because ultimately, AI can't recommend what it can't understand, and it won't recommend what it doesn't trust. So it's all around extracting meaning from things like your website copy and your Google business profiles and OTA listings and third-party articles and reviews, and Rich will delve into that a little bit more later on. And trust is earned over time through signals around your consistency, the consistency of your brand messaging across different sites, high-quality guest reviews that reinforce your brand promise, and things like awards and recognition from trusted partners like HSMAI. These really form this kind of partnership to become the two gatekeepers of AI inclusion, understanding and trust. So knowing all this, how can we help AI to better understand your brand? Well, if I was to leave you today with 3 tips, it would be around positioning, pricing, and proof. So ultimately, define your brand positioning, because if you don't, AI will anyway. To take that into perspective, there's 2 lenses to look at it. You have the human lens, where we look at brands and we look at luxury very much irrationally, very much emotional. That's who we are as humans. We look at status, myth, heritage, scarcity. AI doesn't care about any of that. It's brutally rational, brutally simplistic. It looks at pricing tiers, keywords, categories, data, tokens. So we have to bridge that gap between the 2. So a useful exercise later on in a quiet moment is just to take a minute and see if you can describe your hotel in just a single sentence. If you can, great. If you can't, there's probably a good chance that AI will struggle too. Because your brand positioning isn't what you hope people will feel. Hope is not a strategy. It's what the world and AI has learned to associate with you, and that's a universal truth for machines and for humans as well. So by that principle of associations, if I was to give you 2 words, online shopping, which brand would automatically pop into your mind? Amazon, of course. Fast food? The Golden Arches, of course. This is an easy one. Search engine. Not Bing? No? This is really, at a simple level, what AI is trying to do. It's trying to build associations between these words, between these entities, and your brand. And if we were to look at a more specific hospitality example from Jumeirah and Iconic Luxury, they've done a fantastic job of positioning that brand, the Burj Al Arab, as iconic. It appears absolutely everywhere, as you can see some of the sources down here on the right, referencing it as iconic. And really, luxury is the anchor as well for that property. So it's described as the world's most luxurious hotel, and this whole mythos of the world's first and only 7-star property. What this does is it builds this pairing, it builds this association between the location, Dubai, and these kind of categories, luxury, iconic, so that AI has a really clear understanding of the brand. So from a positioning perspective, decide your ground and stick to it. Don't waver, and don't leave it open to the internet to determine your positioning, because I think in this age, that's quite a dangerous strategy. Really, it's about aligning your positioning as well with price, and price is a tricky one because AI doesn't see price as dirhams and dollars like we do. It sees it as tokens and data, but it is able to infer pricing information from patterns, from context, from categories, and the words that are used to describe your brand online. So if you can see here this scale of kind of luxury, we have ultra luxury at the top going down to entry and boutique, and now we have the framing of it for humans and how AI might interpret that as well. In the interest of time, I'll just focus on ultra luxury at the top there. We might describe that as timeless. We might use language around exclusivity, brand heritage. We might play on brand associations and cultural status. AI is going to surface that hotel for most exclusive palatial hotels, where celebrities stay. It's really about the language used to describe your brand. And then discounting, very pertinent with Friday coming up. Should you discount? Well, actually, promotions now do more than influence just short-term revenue. They actively influence how AI perceives and classifies your brand. So when you have all of these, sales, these kind of flash promotions, what you're really doing is training humans and AI that your baseline price really isn't real. So it is really about holding the line and maintaining rate integrity wherever you can. We understand, though, that discounts are part and parcel of it. So if you're aiming to be an ultra-luxury property, but your reviews say overpriced, there's going to be that lack of connection between what AI sees and what's reality. Because every discount changes the story that the data tells. And then finally, proving your promise. We all like to make a promise for our brand. AI won't take your word for it, it needs proof. So this is about the consistency of your brand story online. Absolutely everything has to try and maintain that same brand story. And that's challenging across things like social media as well, but it's really important to avoid this doubt kind of creeping in for AI. And it's more than language, it's life. AI wants to see recency, it wants to see brands that are alive and kicking. It wants to see new imagery, it wants to see new content, it needs a bit of freshness in there as well. And so do humans as well, they don't want to see a dormant brand. So to summarize, it's around defining who you are, it's aligning what that positioning is with what you charge as well, and it's really fundamentally about living that promise. And actually, when you take a moment to look at that up there, that's very much how humans look at brand as well, so perhaps we're not too different from the machines. So that was it, a real whistle-stop tour of brand. Later on, we'll be talking about organic with Rich, and tomorrow around the page, so I hope you can join us for those sessions too. And I think we're about to break for coffee, so please do pop by our stand and chat with myself or the rest of the team. Thank you.